of Religion, Magic, and Conjure. I've been remiss and have not been on here giving you all a weekly video, but I did want to come on now. I have a couple things on my mind, and really, this video will be a little bit different because this is more about spiritual practice and encouraging you all to remember your practice. I know I give a lot of informational videos and, Black religion in general, but I wanted to also remind us about the importance of having our own practices, right? And this one is, or what inspired me to do this particular one right now is that I've been watching a lot of Mooji videos, and so Mooji is one of our few, I guess I'll say, world-renowned spiritual gurus. Mooji is spelled Mooji. If you have not heard of him, Mooji, and he is a Jamaican man, a Black Jamaican man who is a spiritual guru. I mean, it seems that he mostly resides in India. He has a large following in India, around the world. I imagine people come from all over the world to sit with him. Satsang, it's called in Sanskrit. A community who comes together like a church and has, sort of a spiritual teaching together. Anyway, as I said, you can find plenty of his videos all over YouTube. But as I continue to listen to him, it helps me deepen my own spiritual practice. And as I always say, I like to inform us about our own, Black people, Black spiritual teachers, Black spiritualists, because we don't really get that much of it, really. The world of metaphysics and spiritual teachers and gurus mostly has a white face, maybe Asian. And so I think it's important for us to, because we are there, we are present. It's just that, not many of us get the limelight. And not to say Mooji even seeks the limelight, which is why some of you may not have heard of him. But anyway, I encourage you to, go to his videos and get you some of his good teaching. But, primarily what he's teaching is the same thing that spiritual teachers have always taught, which is that the kingdom of heaven is within. And that it is up to us to nurture our own inner spirituality in order to really get in touch with the fact that the kingdom of heaven is within. So, people are always searching for the life purpose, right? People are like, what is the purpose? What is my purpose? What is my purpose? And they think that it is attached to a job or some sort of external mechanism or status, like what neighborhood do I live in and what kind of, how much money do I have? And, we're always looking for meaning and purpose, and that's part of the human condition. But really, we get off track when we think that our purpose is a particular job or career, or that we're in our purpose if we have a lot of money, and that we're off purpose if we don't. And that's really a critical problem, because, well, it's a misunderstanding about what purpose is. And so, I can share with you here, the same thing that spiritual teachers have been saying. What is the purpose of life? What is the purpose of our being here? And really, the purpose is for us as human beings to recognize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. The purpose of life is for us all to wake up to that. Now, that might not sound like something that's very exciting or sexy, right? And that might not sound all that fancy. Like, what? The purpose of life is to wake up to we're spiritual beings. Yes. Life is a series of experiences that help us remember that. Typically, the things that help us remember that or point us inward so that we do our own self work, typically those things are called problems. And if we have enough problems or serious problems, what feel like to us to be very serious, difficult problems, that is an opportunity for us to turn within and discover a spiritual path or rediscover a spiritual path that allows us to reconnect. The purpose of life is to reconnect with the truth, which is all is one. The kingdom of heaven is within. We are here having human experiences, but we are spiritual beings. And so the purpose of all of this is to have us see what people will say lessons, or we're in earth school and we're having lessons about, things that our soul needs to learn. And I don't know about our spirit needs to learn. I think our spirit or soul just wants to experience things in the physical. Because in the non-physical, existence is very different. But in the physical realm, third density, now moving into fourth density, it's a different ball game, put it that way, right? And so I feel like our spiritual essence comes to the earth plane to have experiences. And part of the game, merrily, 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 life is but a dream, right? Part of the game, part of the dream, part of the illusion is that we forget that we're spiritual beings. We think that we're just human beings, and our ego minds completely take over. Our ego mind completely takes over. We begin to identify with our ego version of ourselves. So, our nationality, our race, our gender, our, school. People have their school colors and they rep their school, right? Whatever their school happens to be. Even people who are alums, long graduated, but they go back for homecoming and they really remember when they went there, and it's all great. Not to criticize that, but I'm just saying our ego attaches to various identities. And that's fine for fun and games. But if we get too attached to the ego identity, then we tend to have a problem, because we really forget that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, because we're very much caught up in maintaining the ego identity. And see, what the universe is really good for is for shaking that up. When we're really attached to the ego, the universe comes in with a harsh lesson and shakes up that ego by causing you to maybe lose a job, a relationship breaks down, you lose money, you lose status somehow. And all of those things, especially if they happen all together, that's a major life reset. A major life reset when you have several things go awry at one time. You can rest assured, if you have several things going wrong in your life at one time, then the gods are trying to get your attention. Your ancestors are tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, here's an opportunity for you to wake up. Here's an opportunity for you to remember who you really are, because I have your attention now. Not that, God is punishing you, us. No, it's an opportunity, because when you're down, we tend to look for something else to fill it, right? Because if you've lost many things in your life, then you're looking for something like, how do I put it back together? How do I put it back together? And you can't quite figure out how. So there's a scramble, or there may be, depression, or, fear and anxiety. And during those times, people often turn towards a spiritual path when they're having a lot of problems, right? And so, not to say that's the only way that we turn within and, get into a spiritual practice, but it is one of the top reasons why people do go inward, right? One of the main reasons people turn inward is because the things on the outside are not going right. People are not happy with what's happening on the outside. And so they're starting to ask questions. And so your own, the God of your own understanding then is working with you and saying, okay, well, let me really show you something. Since you're asking and I have your attention, are you ready to wake up? Are you ready to have your awakening, your enlightenment? Right. So spiritual teachers have been telling us since the beginning of humanity, go within. The answer to your problem that you're seeking all over, right, is not out there. Right? Didn't Jesus say, it doesn't come, it's not outside, it's nothing you can detect with your senses. It's nothing that you're going to see coming. It's nothing that you're going to hear coming, because it's already within you. And our job is to go within and uncover it. Right. And so, as I said, I was watching some Mooji videos, and I was, reminded of this and invited to go deeper into my own spiritual practice in terms of meditation and really thinking about, you know, various things in my own life, but also in terms of our world right now and what we're challenged with in our world. And so, this virus situation is a very good metaphor for our own awakening. It's like the virus being, running amok on the planet literally forced humans inside. There's a crisis outside, so you have to go where? In the house. Now that you're in the house and, to some degree isolated, what are you going to do? Really go within. So here's a situation where it's like it's a macrocosm and the microcosm. We're all collectively going through this virus situation, and we're in the house, right? And in our own individual lives, if we're having some crisis outside, what do? Go within. And what happens when you go within? You find another layer of truth. You find another layer of your own true being. So anyway, I wanted to come on there and share this because, and again, this is a bit of a different video because I normally give more information. I'm normally in my, scholar professor role, but I've been working with this more myself lately. And so I just would leave you with 4 tips here for yourself, for your own meditation or spiritual practice. And your 4 tips for your spiritual practice. And one is, of course, meditating and finding still points. That's what meditation really is. Finding some stillness and doing it as a regular practice, so that like, every once in a while I sit to do it. Well, you won't get to the still moments, the still peaceful moments within yourself by doing it once in a while. Just set a daily, I'm going to do this for 10 minutes a day. And don't worry about the fact that your mind races during the 10 minutes. Just set a date with yourself and keep the date. It'll catch on. Finding presence, finding the still small voice, so that you can hear the voice of God speaking to you, right? Secondly, if you can start noticing the story that your ego identity is telling you. First of all, notice the things that your ego is attached to. Find the things that your ego is attached to. And this may be, really, I could have just done a video just on this, and maybe I will come back and do it because there's kind of a lot here, because people don't necessarily know what I mean by find your ego identity. But find the things that you're attached to. What are the things that are meaningful to you in terms of titles, labels, nationality, race, like I said before, job title? What are the things that, how you present in the world? And then think about how important those are. Like, what if those things went away? Would you be crushed? Would you know who you are on the inside if you didn't have those titles and things? That'll tell you what your ego identity is, what you're attached to. And then see if you can kind of mentally step back from that and say, I'm still a spiritual being having a human experience. I just play in the roles. Like I'm not a doctor, I just play one on TV kind of a thing. I'm just playing at this game, but I remember who I am. And it might be fun to even play the game, right? But with consciousness and awareness. And then observe the things that your ego says to you about, if you don't have those attachments, right? A friend of mine just told me about, he went on a date with someone who seemed to be very much caught up in how much money she has and how much she spends and all of that. And it's clear that she's rather unconscious. She's not really waking up because she has so much invested in how much money she has and, things she can buy, how many designer shoes and the car she drives and all that kind of stuff. And, why? What's all that stuff? You can like nice things, but keep some distance. So observe what your mind and your thoughts do to you around that. How attached are you? So anyway, that's for your spiritual practice. And if you've been with me this long, thank you. Give a like. Give a like. Just leave me a comment that, hey, I stayed till the end. I would appreciate knowing that. So meditation, finding your presence, noticing your ego attachments, and then observing how your ego talks to you. Because once you start identifying the ego and its trappings, it becomes easier to hear the different things that the ego tells you, because it makes up stories. What it sounds like are stories like, oh yeah, it sounds like judgment. It sounds like a critic, an internal critic. It sounds like internal judgment. It sounds like a fear narrative about why you can't do this or why you can't have that. That's the ego mind, right? Because it's like, oh, you're trying to grow, you're trying to do something different, and it'll tell you all the reasons why you can't. So you'll hear a lot from your ego mind when you're trying to grow and do something. Say you want to start a business. Oh my God. It'll jump up at you. Say that you want to, move across the country. Say that you need to end a relationship, or maybe you need to start a new relationship. Should you trust again? Your ego mind will come up and, get at you. So again, thank you if you have remained to the end of this video. I do appreciate it. Subscribe, leave me comments if this was at all helpful, and if you'd like me to go more into our spiritual practices, things like this, things like freeing ourselves from the eternal chatter of the mind, and how we might get a better grip on ourselves. We live in really crazy making times, and it's really important that we have a spiritual center, and that we wake up in this lifetime. It really just benefits us if we can do that. So I'm going to sign off. Bye for now, and remember to like, share, subscribe.